Welcome YouTubers to my part 3 of my build for the M1A2 Tamiya full option tank. So like I had said in some of my previous videos, it makes sense that if you're going to do a build of this caliber to do what I call sub-assemblies first. Sub-assemblies would be things that you would have to actually put together before you could actually install it into the vehicle itself, i.e. your transmission, your turret rotating gearboxes, the speaker box, and so on and so forth. So right now we have done the transmission, and we have also done the turret race ring. So now we are going to move on to the turret race ring gearbox. That is next on the hit list. So right now this is what we're going to work on right here. This is the motor, and this is the actual gearbox itself. As you can see, I painted it white because the inside of the real turret is white also. Now when you're putting this thing together, you need to pay attention, especially on this part. You need to pay attention to the orientation of the gears, their location, not so much their location, but the direction that they're facing. So as you can see, it shows these bottles, not really bottles, or tubes, shows these tubes right here. These are grease tubes, and it's telling you right here to take this gear. Actually, this is a gear assembly. Oh, there goes the pin. Take this gear assembly right here and put grease on the inside, then place the little gear inside the big gear in this direction, so when you have it in the proper facing direction, it looks like that. Now it also says to lube your pin, which I have already done, which is why it took it forever to slide out of that hole, and why I can't grab it right now, because it's slicker than snot on tile floor. Alright, there we go. The pin is inside the clutch for the turret rotating gear assembly. And you want to slide that into that first area. There it is, just like that. And you want to take the second gear, which is this one, right here. And again, it's already been greased, and you want to put it in the right direction, which would be the gear side. Wow, let me get my fingers out of the way there. There we go. The gear side, the small gear side, facing down. Now you can rotate it around if you want to work your grease in. It's totally your prerogative. I just do it to make sure there's a good seat and make sure everything falls into place the way it's supposed to. Okay, now right here, see that little notch right there? That is there for a reason. And the motor, the instructions say that the motor actually has a certain direction that it's supposed to sit inside this box. And the way it shows it, it shows the solder. Oops, sorry. There we go. It shows the solder there we go. That part right there, the solder that is on the motor, is supposed to be on top. Just like this. And it sets nicely, very nicely, with the teeth of the gear. And now you can put your cover on. Now, notice it has 1, 2, 3, total of 5 holes. Let me get my thumb out of it. There we go. There's a total of 5 holes in this assembly. But right now, you're only going to be putting screws into 2 of the spots. The other 3 are to hold this to the hull. Actually, it's to the turret. So it can rotate the turret race ring and allow the turret to traverse around. Okay, so now we are done with this portion of the gearbox, with this portion of the build. Moving on. Okay, so now we are going to move to the gun elevation and recoil unit. So what we're going to do, that is this section right here, part 38. Okay, so here we will take the housing, look at the orientation and all that good happy stuff, and this tells me that this is the bottom, which you could also just, look at the instructions and it will tell you. But in case you are the type of person that doesn't like to use the instructions, then you can go ahead and figure out that this is the bottom. And so if that is the bottom, this is the top. And it shows us that we have to put the gears and stuff inside the top. and then flip it over and put the rear or the bottom part, mate it up with it. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to break out the grease tube, because that's what it calls for right there. And we're going to put some grease on the shaft. Which is going to make it slicker than snot on tile floor. Which is what we want to an extent. So place one pin in there, and then you can take your finger and smooth it around. And then it can come out of the hole and be difficult for you to put it back into its location where it belongs. Or you can just use tweezers. I'm going to go with the tweezer option. And there you go. Take the other shaft. Now the instructions show that these shafts are different sizes. They're both 3 millimeters in diameter, but the one I have in my hand right now, this little guy, is 14 inches long, and this guy, I'm sorry, not 12, not 14 inches, 14 millimeters, and this guy here is 12 millimeters. And you stick it in the slot like so, and then just like you did with the other one. I mean, you can do it either way. I like to do it like this because it helps hold the pin. It helps hold the pin in its place, and I can cover the whole pin instead of fumbling with it and not being able to cover all the area or the surface area that I want because it's so small. Next, we're going to take this little piece right here, which is the recoil piece for it. Note its location or its orientation. This there, that hole right there goes in top. And I got confused, but I'm going to fix that. There we go. All better. Okay, the pins are in the right spot. The recoil mechanism is in the right spot. Right location or orientation. Now you want to put the big gear in first. Note the location or the orientation of the gear. The part that sticks up goes down. Now, you can do this part however you like to do it, or however you would like to do it. I myself, I like to do it differently than the instructions call for. I put the grease on the gear first, and then I rotate it around inside the mechanism. That way I feel the whole gear gets a nice even amount of grease throughout the gears. So now you'll take this gear and you'll stick it in there just like that. Upside down, just like that. And rotate the gear around. Or you can do a different way, which is another way I kind of like to do it. And that is, take the grease. Oops, that came out too much. And rotate it around on the big gear and let the little gear smooth it all out for you. Yeah, this kind of looks like there's a little too much grease in it, but it'll be fine. It's just plastic gears, and it's just a recoil unit. There's no real torque or anything like that that can bind it up. Alright, once we have that done, you take the, set that down, you take the motor, again, put a little, just a little bit of grease. You don't need a lot. Take a little bit of grease, stick it on your worm gear, smooth it out or around. And place your motor into the assembly that you just built. Like so. Note the switch right here shows that it's a certain orientation and location. You want to keep that in mind. Because if you don't, then all of a sudden you're asking questions like, why isn't my recoil unit recoiling like it's supposed to? Well, if you didn't put things in together the proper way, that would have